Welcome back to Theresa.is.Dead. My name is Theresa and I'm very much alive. And if you're new here, welcome. I have an awful garbage mouth, and if you're not into that or weird shit in general, this is not the place for you. Feel free to exit the video here, no harm, no foul. But remember our time fondly. If you want to jump straight to the review of the product, I'll leave a time code down below. Feel free to jump ahead. You know what I love so much sometimes? Is fucking karma. I love it so goddamn much. So the other day I was on the train and it was fairly crowded. Of course I didn't have a seat. I had to stand up against the door being smushed to death, but whatever, that's just a normal day for me. I was playing Candy Crush, living my best life, you know, the usual, when all of a sudden a gentleman gets on the train and this guy was fucking drunk. Like drunk. You know when somebody is really drunk is when they start kind of moving. There's like no wind happening around them, but they're acting as if they're on a fucking cruise ship. You know what I mean? You know that kind of drunk? They're like a tornado apparently is around them somehow, yet no one else feels it. They're just constantly fighting against wind. Anyway, this is the kind of guy that gets on the train, and usually drunk people that get on the train, it's either two things. Never any good. It's usually they're going to act fucking crazy and go insane, or they're gonna throw up, piss on themselves, and then just pass out on the floor. It's either or. So you either get this drunk, or you're gonna get this drunk. You know what I mean? You're never gonna get that fun drunk, you know, that guy that's like, hey guys, conga line. You're never gonna get that. And that's fine. I don't expect that. But one day it would be nice to have that. This guy gets on the train and immediately I could just tell that he was gonna be a fucking dickhead. He gets on, I don't even know what the fuck he was saying, but obviously he was very displeased with the fact that there were so many of us on the train. So he gets on, he starts looking, and then he just starts screaming a lot of racist shit, like a lot, like uncomfortably so. Like just cringeworthy, like I want to die on the inside, because how can a human being even utter those fucking words? Like that's how racist this guy was being. And of course everybody around him was just like, shut the fuck up! But of course this antagonized him more, so he just starts screaming more and more shit. And it kind of gets to the point where, you know, you could try to do something about it, but he's so fucked up, he's so wasted. He's probably an asshole sober anyway. It's just like you kind of have to pay no mind, which is really fucked up. So as this was going on, he decided to plop himself in between two people. And the two people on either side of him obviously looked so fucking uncomfortable, but it was so crowded, like nobody wanted to stand. I could see where he's sitting. He's like in the middle of the train car or whatever. He's sitting, he's just like, just doing whatever. So about 2 stops after this guy gets on, the Showtime kids get in. Now, if you don't know what the Showtime kids are, and if you've never been to New York City, sometimes you get a show on the train. I want to say they're probably like teenage boys that come on the train, and they usually have a dance routine. They have like an obnoxious giant 1986 boombox. They leave it right in the middle of the goddamn train car, and they start doing tricks. And there's usually about 3 or 4 of them. They all kind of take turns. They do their little dances. They usually flip around. They catch hats on their head. It's good entertainment for the fact that we have to see so much shit in the subway that I'm like, go on, Showtime boys, go on. Now the Showtime boys, and if actually I'm completely honest when I'm saying this, and if you don't believe me, Google it, YouTube it, it's a fucking thing. There are kids in the subway that do this. And it's usually boys. I've never seen a girl actually do it. It would be nice to have some female representation, but I digress. When these kids get in, they usually plop in the middle of the train and do their show. The kids enter into the middle of the car, and they're screaming, Showtime, Showtime! And all the people in the middle area, they kind of start to disperse to give the kids room, right? Because everybody's respectful in the subway. The kids get in and they start doing their dance, and they have like the music on fucking full blast. You never know what kind of song it is. All it is heavy bass, which kills my misophonia, but whatever. So where they're dancing, actually, the guy was like right there. So the guy is like screaming at them, and the kids are paying no mind. They're just doing their dances. People are clapping. Like it was kind of like a weird juxtaposition. So there's a part in their little routine where usually one of the kids is usually ambidextrous, where they're able to kind of flip and pop their arms out of their sock, and it's really fucking gross, but whatever. This is what they like to do. The trick entails they would run up, grab like the main pole where people would hold on, grab that, I guess for leverage, and then grab the pole where people like hold on to, and then like somehow like fucking spin around like some cotton candy, and then they just like fall to the floor like, hey! Now, usually when that happens, people know to kind of sit like far back, so like, you know, you don't get kicked in the face. But this guy was too drunk to notice, and so while the kid was flipping during his trick, he wound up hitting the guy in the face so hard that the guy immediately fell like a sack of potatoes. And you know what everybody did? We just clapped. Of course the kids were freaked out by that. They stopped their music and they were trying to like help the guy up, and everyone was like, "I'll leave that fucking asshole on the ground." And the kids were like, So the next stop, of course, the kids, they fucking grab their boombox and they run off the goddamn train, and then everybody just stepped over this drunk, passed out asshole because nobody gave a shit. So about 1 stop before I was about to get off, the guy woke up, I guess realized what happened, was so embarrassed, sheepishly got off the train, muttering to himself, and everybody just clapped. And it was a beautiful moment. And sometimes on days like that, it makes me appreciate living in New York City. So what can I say? Karma's a bitch. On today's video, we're going to be talking about the IT Cosmetics Confidence in a Foundation. But before I give you my overall thoughts, let me read you a little bit about the product. Retails for $32. Confidence in a Foundation is your long-wearing, flawless-looking, velvet matte finish foundation that provides weightless full coverage, plus up to 24 hours of wear and hydration. Perfect for even sensitive skin and infused with ceramides, peptides, hydrolyzed collagen, hyaluronic acid, and squalane. This oil-free foundation covers a look of blemishes, redness, dark spots, and other imperfections without creasing or cracking to give you an all-day confidence every time you wear it. Available in 48 true-to-skin shades. I picked this up on the day that it launched, and I actually received it on Friday, so I've been playing with this foundation for a couple of days now. And the reason why I picked it up is because I do like IT Cosmetics. I love their CC cream, and I really have been looking for a lot of hydrating foundations, or foundations that have kind of magical witchcraft properties in them to make me look young as fuck, because we all like getting carded when we go places, right? Am I right, guys? Exactly. So I was intrigued to try this one. So this arrived on Friday and I immediately tested it out. So I've been wearing it for a couple days now and I have a lot of like mixed feelings about it. All right. So the first time I tried it, I was actually kind of surprised how thick the consistency was. Now it says that it's a weightless formula. No, I don't think it's weightless. I feel like it's incredibly thick. If you kind of compare it to, say, the L'Oreal Infallible one that's almost like soup, this is like in its own ballpark. I was also a little nervous too because it's actually kind of funny. When I swatched it out on my hand, I was like, fuck, this shit is so light. What happened? And it also has a warm undertone too, which I was a little surprised about because I picked up the shade 115 Light C, which C should be cool. But with that said, the first time I applied this, I actually used 2 different primers. I don't know why I did that. I feel like that kind of fucked up me wearing it on the first day. I used a Tatcha Silk Canvas and I used a Dr. Brandt Illuminizer one that we got in a BoxyCharm many months ago. And I don't know necessarily if that was the best idea. But when I first looked at myself, I was like, ooh, I'm on the light side, the white side, the paper side. Let's bring me back. Let me have some fucking color to my face. I bronzed my skin and I think I may have went a little heavy-handed on the bronzer because I pretty much looked like I just came back from vacation. Like it was crazy. Like I used a lot of bronzer. And here's some proof. So I think it was a couple of things that happened there. This foundation does oxidize, so that didn't help. And then adding the bronzer and shit just made me look like I just got back from a Carnival cruise. The rest of the day, I just felt like my skin was just getting darker. But at the same time, it didn't look powdery. It didn't look dry. It actually felt kind of nice feeling. I liked how it felt on my skin, yet I could feel that there was product on my skin. And I also noticed that I'm not sure if it was the foundation or the powders, but I was also getting a lot of transfer. However, when I looked in the mirror, it looked like I didn't touch anything on my face. So it was like some sort of fucking witchcraft bullshit. I was like, what is going on with you? So then the second day came, I wet my sponge. I also sprayed the shit out of it with some setting spray and then applied this foundation. And I loved it. I fucking loved it. I also wore that foundation from, I want to say 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning to 1 o'clock in the morning the next day. I'll just show you a picture I put on Instagram. This is what I look like at the beginning of my day. I know, I'm such a cutie. Unfortunately, I didn't take a picture at the end of the day, but my skin looked good. The only thing that I did differently was I didn't add any bronzer to my face. I just did like a light contour over here, you know, to get the ham hocks in shape. And then I made sure everything else was the way that it was on the first day, just no bronzer. By doing that, it oxidized, but it actually looked not bad. I looked like I had a nice healthy glow. For me, I definitely would say that it was oil-free. I didn't have any sort of breakdown or oil kind of collecting in my T-zone areas, which I normally do. I didn't feel like I had any sort of like dry skin over around my nose. My skin looked really good. The only thing is that it did settle into some lines, not as bad as other foundations that I've tried, but you could tell though that it started to settle in some lines and it was more towards the end of the day, which I didn't give a shit because at that point I was wearing that foundation for more than 12 hours. I don't really consider this full coverage. I consider it medium at best, but buildable. The other thing that I do want to point out with this is that a little bit goes a long way. So I felt that the first day when I used it, I applied way too much and I think that was also an issue. So the next day when I applied it, I only used, I think, oh fuck, was it like maybe 1 pump? I think I used just 1 pump on my face. And I felt like some areas it really covered a lot of stuff, while in other areas, like say down here where all my pimples have been kind of fucking living, they didn't really do a good job covering. This foundation's weird. It like picks and chooses where it wants to cover fully. if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, oh, over here, like, yeah, you're gonna get full coverage. Down here, not so much, bitch. So with that said, do I think you should definitely get this? You know, I'm kind of on the fence about this because I like this product because I figured out the way that it would work for me. But is this something that I'm really going to reach for every morning when I only have like 15-20 minutes to get ready and I need to get out the door? No, because this is something that like is going to take a little bit of finessing and a little bit of finessing for me to even figure out to make sure that what I'm doing is actually even the best way for me to apply this, if you know what I mean. I definitely want to kind of give this a shot a couple of times, only because I really liked how it looked at the end of the day. And I like the finish of it. Well, yes, it's technically on the matte side. I feel like it's more of like a natural skin finish. Do I think you need to rush out and get it? No, I don't think so. I think the way that it's just so fucking finicky and you have to like really play around with it to earn its love for it to work, I don't think it's really that worth it. I definitely think I'm going to kind of play around with this more in the summertime, only because the way that it dries down on my skin. I think maybe this could be good for me in the summer. Considering I'm a fucking mess in the summertime, I just look like Satan's asshole, maybe this could make me look somewhat better on my long ass, hot ass commutes. I don't know, we'll test it out. But hey, if you are interested in picking this up, I would wait until you can actually see it at a retailer, like whether it be Ulta or Sephora, which I'm pretty sure it's going to be sold at the end of the month, only because I want you to really go to the store and test it out and also pick up your correct shade as well. Try to go more on the lighter side since this motherfucker oxidizes, and also kind of feel if that consistency and that big creaminess is something for you, or if you can get a fucking sample of it, just try that out just so you can see what I'm talking about, because while $32 is not a bad price point, it's still $32, and if you fucking hate it and you can't return it, that sucks. I am convinced that I'm going to try to make this work because at the end of the day, I really do like how it looked after a long day. So yeah, so that's kind of how I feel about it. Let me know down below if you're interested in picking this up, or if you have it, or if you have similar thoughts, or you don't give a fuck, or whatever. Let me know. I love hearing from you guys. And yeah, I guess that's about it. So on that note, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it as always. Feel free to like, comment, and hit that subscribe button. It's free. And hit that bell icon for notification of all my future posts. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever, out in the streets, in life, blah, 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 blah. And I'll see you little pumpkins later. Bye.